Hey everybody, Kennis here. Hope you're doing well. Hey, I've got a quick tip for you for any musician that is wanting to get better. This may apply to younger musicians, but this also applies to older musicians as well, and that is to play with a metronome. Playing with a metronome. It is amazing how many musicians that I run across, or I have run across in my life, that are very good musicians, but time and timing is the thing that they struggle with perhaps the most. And I remember, back in the day, especially when I was in college, people saying you gotta practice with a metronome, and I did, but I probably didn't do it as much as I should have. There are sometimes, specifically drummers that I've come across, but it's been other musicians too, that are so good with their time, they've played with a metronome forever, that they just are always in time. Like there's not a fluctuation with what they're playing. And it seems like a small thing, but it really sets musicians apart. So a few years ago at our church, we decided to go to in-ears, which is, obviously where you've got headphones, essentially you're listening to, using as your monitors. And when we did that, we went to playing with a click, or playing with a metronome. So each song that we play, we will click it in. And so the band is hearing click, 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 click. And what was interesting is I had heard some people give some advice about it in the past. And they said, you're going to need to spend a lot of time practicing the click. And so what we did was we decided to take like a couple months of rehearsals playing with click, and then before we went playing live. And that made that was a huge help, because those first few months of rehearsals, there was a lot of times where we'd get halfway through the song and people were not used to playing to a rigid tempo, that we would just get off. The drummer would get off, one of the guitar players would get off, and we weren't locking in. And what's amazing is when you play with a click, it's like the spotlight gets shown on the level of how everyone is with their tempo. And so with in our case, it took us about 2 months to finally get pretty good playing in tempo. And now if we have to play a song without a click, it almost feels like we're handicapped. It's that much of an improvement. And what's interesting too is as people join the team that have never played with the click, they still go through that 2-month kind of struggle playing to the click, locking into that. And I realized that it is a skill set that a lot of musicians don't really develop. And when they're thrown into a situation where they need to play with the click or play with the metronome, they get derailed. And it almost feels like a fish out of water. And if you're wanting to ever do anything with recording, you're going to have to play to click. And so sometimes there's people that will show up. When I was in Nashville, I played in a couple sessions, and it was relatively new for me to play to a click at that time. I hadn't spent hours and hours and hours playing it. I'd done just metronome and practice, but I'd never done in-ears. And what would end up happening is that was a struggle for me, going and playing with a click right off the bat in a session without having all that time practicing with it. And I did okay, but I could have done a lot better. Could have been focusing more on my playing than just staying in time, something that should be a basic of musicianship. So anyway, I just encourage you as a musician, try to play to a click. On just about anybody's if you have a smartphone, you can find a metronome app, and download a metronome app and see how well you play in time with it. You know, you can even play a song you already know, whatever the case is, but practice playing in time, because I promise you, this is one skill as a musician you won't regret being able to do. It'll only make you a better musician. So anyway, what do you think? Do you play with a click? Do you play with a metronome when you practice? What has your experience been? Maybe one of you has a story that of your story playing with a click. Please share it with me. I'd love to hear about it. Anyway, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already, and I will see you in another video.